This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. So my original thesis for this video was going to be looking over like a lot of the self-help pickup artistry stuff, because I feel like right-wingers have really taken that over. And what I kind of wanted to go into was charisma. God, I'm misspelling that on command. I'll probably figure it out. And kind of looking up this website, because I've looked it up before. I realized this is probably one of the websites I was watching shortly after my divorce, because I have some watched videos on here. I was in a dark place after my divorce, so it's been a few years now. But yeah, there was a couple on here I saw that were really bad, or at least look really bad. So let's go ahead and debunk some of these. Okay, so this Joran Peterson, How to Become a Force to be Reckoned With, and it's Joran Peterson. This looks awful, so I kind of want to dive in.
Joran Peterson has hundreds of hours of interviews and lectures on YouTube, but with so much volume, it can be tough to distill the essence of his life philosophy. And to make things even more difficult, he sometimes uses abstract language like this.
It's within the individual that redemption can be manifested, let's say. And even insofar as the state is concerned, because the state's proper functioning is dependent on the proper functioning of the individual, rather than the reverse, most fundamentally.
That is actually the
That's not abstract language, that's word salad.
most concise explanation of his life philosophy that I've heard, but what does it mean concretely? Well, today we're going to break down the three things.
Lucifer, I like Ryan George a lot, but I do think he occasionally swings for lowest-hanging fruit. I agree. Overall, I think he's very funny. I think, I've gotten, a little bit burnt out on pitch meetings, but I like a lot of like the little skits he just does on his own channel. I still largely like those, like the first person to do stuff. I still think probably my favorite is the first person to get a cat. That one's great.
Things that you should and should not do in order to live an exceptional life, according to Dr. Peterson. And I'm going to simplify as best as I can in order to keep this simple to understand. Forgive me for that, Dr. Peterson. Also, at the end, I'm going to get to some concrete...
Forgive Doc, why do you care what Peterson thinks? He's never going to watch us.
Actions to you that you can take today in order to move forward on each point. But first,
of course, a lot of these right-wingers get really triggered whenever there's a video about them, so maybe he will. This does have 2 million views. Maybe he was one of them.
The thing that you need to start with is fixing yourself before you fix the world, not the reverse. So many of us think that life is unfair, that society that we've been born into is unfair, and the only way to progress is to change things on a societal level. But as Jordan says...
So, and can you even clean up your own room? No. Well...
Okay, this is like the idea of fixing up yourself. Okay, cool. But you have to fix up yourself before you can change anything on the outside is such bullshit, because you can always do a little bit more to fix up yourself. So this idea of, you have to be like somehow this perfect fucking person to do anything to fix the rest of the world is fucking stupid. Because if you take that approach, you'll never do anything to fix the world.
You should think about that. You should think about that. Because if you can't even clean up your own room, who the hell are you to give advice to the...
I think it's interesting to use Joran Peterson, because I'm pretty sure he's had, didn't he have drug problems or something? I'm pretty sure he did.
World.
Think of it in terms of leadership. If you want to lead
if he didn't have drug problems, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure something's up with that.
Other people, you need to prove that you can do it first by leading yourself. You need to motivate yourself. You need to inspire yourself. And you need to prove that following your strategies is actually a desirable thing that leads to desirable results. And the truth is, today, that might not be the case given where your life is at. So where do you start leading yourself? Well, here's some suggestions.
Clean up your room. That's a good start. Organize your local landscape. Schedule your time. Start taking control of yourself. See if you can stop saying things you know to be lies.
To those suggestions, I would add addressing your health, repairing your relationship with family members, volunteering, meditating, moving forward in your career. But certainly, the most fundamental tenet of fixing yourself...
Mostly that's okay. Moving forward with your career, It kind of depends if you're happy where you're at. If you're not happy where you're at, then try to figure out a way, obviously you still have to pay the bills. But, figure out what to do to make yourself happy. I'm going to push the speed up because he talks kind of slow.
Up is to tell the truth, which is actually Jordan's second core tenet. Here he is talking about how that is actually the highest good.
It's a deep idea. It's the deepest.
He seems a little quiet too, so let's boost him a bit.
Idea of the West, I would say, and it's the deepest religious idea. The idea is that there's a way to bring order into being that makes the order good, and that's to bring it into.
Oh shit! You already cleaned your room, Mikhail? Well, guess what? You're perfect then. Nothing else to do. You got it all figured out.
Being by spoken truths.
Now, we have all been told not to lie before, but we were usually commanded to tell the truth because it was the quote-unquote right thing to do. And it may have actually felt like telling the truth left you worse off. After all, it might have prevented you from getting what you wanted or forced you into making an uncomfortable confession. But that is actually not Jordan Peterson's main reason for insisting on the truth. This is:
if I tell the truth as carefully as I can, then whatever happens is the best that could have possibly happened in that situation, no matter how it looks.
Yeah.
Right.
That seems like a crazy idea. After all, there can be terrible consequences to the truth sometimes, which is why we avoid it in the first place. So let's just take an example and play it out. For instance, say that you have a boss who routinely verbally abuses employees. Telling the truth and standing up for yourself, saying that this isn't okay, might get you fired. Or if you don't get fired, it could get you singled out to receive even more punishment.
See, what I'm hating about this so far is that there's lots of actually decent advice in here, but it's getting weaved in with the idea that somehow Jordan Peterson's like a good force. And it's not. Like, it's giving you, like, he's presenting this and be like, yeah, isn't this awesome what Jordan Peterson teaches? And then, like, I bet you he's not even going to dive into the anti-trans shit, but he introduces this idea. Like, this is your first video being introduced to Jordan Peterson. You're going to be like, oh, this Jordan Peterson's guy seems like an all right guy with all right ideas. And then you're going to see a little bit later all his anti-trans freak out shit, because that's his big thing anymore. You're going to be like, oh, well, he's got good ideas and he's anti-trans, so anti-trans must be a good idea. No, it's fucking not. People have the right to live their life how they choose.
That would be bad, but according to Peterson's philosophy, it would still be better than not telling the truth. Because maybe getting singled out would force you to actually live the truth. You'd have to quit because you just couldn't take it anymore. And that might build self-esteem because you're betting on yourself to figure things out despite the financial circumstances that were very dire. And it might set an example for the other people in the company. And if you did make it back on your feet in 6 months, that example might inspire them to escape such a tyrannical leader as well. Even more, you would become the type of person who is honest despite their fear. And that is someone that other people gravitate towards and are inspired by. And maybe, just maybe, the boss would actually reform his or her ways and things would get better immediately. The point is, you might not see how telling the truth is the best thing for you. It might look like it's a horrible idea, but it is inevitably good for you and good for the world. And
you see, that then I actually kind of agree. And as a general rule, I mean, I'm sure there's specific situations, but as a general rule, I actually advise, for the most part, being truthful. Unless there's like you got a very specific set of circumstances. When in doubt, just tell the truth. Even if it hurts the other person, at least then, like, you got the truth out there, and then you can start rebuilding and healing, however that may be, and you aren't hiding stuff. I mean, like I said, the issue here might be essentially is that he's like, here's some good advice, and I'm wrapping it all up in this Jordan Peterson thing, and then you find out later all the fucking bullshit about Jordan Peterson. He's a piece of shit.
And there are plenty of archetypal stories that drive this point home, including Aladdin, where Aladdin first refuses to tell the truth because it seems like he'd lose everything if he did.
Genie, I need help. All right, Sparky, here's the deal. If you want to court the little lady, you gotta be a straight shooter till you got it. What? Tell her the truth. No way. If Jasmine found out I was really some crummy street rat, she'd laugh at me.
But Aladdin is wrong. Sure, things appear to go the way that he wants for a little while, but his continued lying nearly destroys the entire kingdom. And
I don't know if the Aladdin analogy is your best shot, but I mean, it's basically decent advice. But are we going to tackle some of the issues with Jordan Peterson? I bet you not.
Ends his relationship with Jasmine. And Jordan makes this point. It's that if your relationships have conflict, that's often just this surface level issue. The deeper problem is that you're not being honest about how you feel and what you need. You're not being honest about who you are. Instead, like Aladdin, you're only doing and saying the things that you think will make the other person like you.
It's the principle. When your relationships are working, whether they're with yourself or with one or many people, if they're working to the degree that they're guided by that principle.
So maybe that leads to you saying that you don't appreciate how someone close to you has been treating you. Or maybe it leads to you telling someone how much they actually do mean to you. Maybe it means putting down your pride and calling someone that you've fallen out of touch with because you'd like a good relationship with them more than you'd like to act like you're beyond caring. In any case, there are a number of traps that you can fall into when you start telling the truth. First off, you can be an ideologue, and that is someone who doesn't test ideas against reality and who doesn't adjust their ideas based on reality. They think they are telling the truth usually, but really they're just...
You mean like Jordan Peterson? Are you gonna bring up Jordan Peterson? Because that's definitely what he is with his anti-trans shit. He doesn't adjust his ideas to fit reality. Well, let's see. I doubt it.
Citing someone else's worldview. Peterson explains it this way.
People don't have ideas. Ideas have people. One of the things that I learned from Jung was you should figure out just exactly which ideas are possessing you, and then you should decide if those are your ideas. And the probability that they are is 0. They're not your ideas. It's hard to have your own ideas. You have to derive them from your own experience.
This means that as good as an idea might sound, you should actually stress test it against the real world. And that goes for everything you hear on this channel as well.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too. I thought that I'm a terrible speller, so I was just like, well, wait, is that right? That doesn't seem right. Yeah, it didn't seem right to me. This is spelling of ideologue.
Instead of agreeing with me on this point and mindlessly telling the truth, go out and live it in your life. See what happens. And then you'll have firsthand experience of how it impacts.
Yes, ideas have people. You didn't know that, Mikhail? Listen, the way Jordan Peterson says stuff is very, like, it's over our head, okay? He is so smart with this stuff. It's not just word salad, trust me.
Your self-esteem and the results that you get in your interactions. Second, you can know the truth, but not live the truth. You can know that something's wrong and just go along anyway because standing up would put you at risk. Now, living the truth might be scary, but it is exactly what made Jordan Peterson famous. He risked public ridicule and the legal system in order to defend what he saw as the truth when it came to the legislation that insisted on the use of preferred gender pronouns.
Well,
oh, we're gonna get into it. Okay. Yeah, him freaking out over it wasn't even like make it illegal or anything. It was just like, just don't be an asshole. And he was like, well, I want to be a fucking asshole. And it's like, okay, cool.
So what am I willing to do? Well, I think that the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal is probably obligated by their own tangled web to bring me in front of it. If they find me, I won't pay it. If they put me in jail, I'll go on a hunger strike. I'm not doing this. And that's that. I'm not using the words that other people require me to use.
Then, of course, you...
Well, dude, you don't have to use preferred pronouns, but if you don't use them, you're being an asshole.
You can lie to yourself and deny aspects of yourself that you don't like. This is refusing to acknowledge your shadow. And it's the third huge mistake that people make.
Oh, he's going to tack on that refer to the preferred pronoun shit? Because he was such a piece of shit.
We're going to treat it as its own. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the shadow is a Jungian concept that covers thoughts and desires that we have that we find unacceptable, so we stuff them down. Jordan Peterson gives a concrete example of his own shadow here.
And accused me of, like, sicking my internet trolls on the poor hapless.
Exactly, Lucifer. Take your truth out and test it. It's fine until you refuse to be corrected. Exactly. Listen, Jordan Peterson's got this big anti-trans thing, and that seems to be the train he really likes to ride, and he's a piece of shit. I'm sorry. I don't care what pronouns you want to go by. I will try to respect them because I try to respect everybody as a general rule. I feel that everybody should be allowed to live whatever life they want as long as it isn't a harm to themselves and others. And that includes being trans if that makes you happy. And, I understand, maybe, there's like a medical reason why people might want to be trans. Well, I don't know if anybody wants to be trans, but there might be medical reasons to be trans. And I know there's all types of explanations. And for me, I honestly don't care. If somebody is trans, I believe that's their right and they should be allowed to live their life as they see fit.
Journalist, and I thought this was the dark part of me, right? That's the shadow part. Thought if I wanted to sick my internet trolls on Channel 4, then there'd be nothing but broken windows and riots. And then there's a little part of me that thinks, wouldn't that be fun?
This is the devil on your shoulder, the voice in your head that wants to rage and hurt and lie. And if you don't acknowledge that it exists, it will run you without you realizing it, acting itself out as passive aggressiveness or...
Yeah. So, like, a lot of these right-wing grifters do that shit all the time. So, I don't know if Jordan Peterson does. I know Gina Carano over Terror on the Prairie recently was getting... it was a reporter targeted. I think it was a Hollywood reporter. She was making sure they were getting targeted. That was fun.
Subtle social manipulations. People who don't integrate their shadow create suffering around them, but they do it in subtle enough ways, usually, to not be detected.
Oh my god, I love your skirt. Where did you get it? It was my mom's in the 80s. Vintage. So adorable. Thanks. That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
Now, Regina George is a great example of a villain, but in the movie Mean Girls, it's actually the main character, Katie, who has the most trouble with her shadow. She begins with good intentions, wanting to right the wrongs and serve justice to the bad people. But because she can't admit that she craves popularity and that she is deep down very much like the villain Regina George, she begins to behave like the villain without even realizing it.
You know I couldn't invite you. I had to pretend to be plastic. Buddy, you're not pretending anymore. You're plastic. Cold, shiny, hard plastic. You know what? You're the one who made me like this, so you could use me for your 8th grade revenge. God, see, at least me and Regina George know we're mean. You try to act like
you're so innocent.
Yes, Mikael. Mean Girls is the moral standard of the universe. Did you not know that? All morality can be stemmed from Mean Girls. Right? Right?
Like, oh, I used to live in Africa with all the little birdies and the little monkeys. So why are you still messing with Regina, Katie? I'll tell you why, because you are a mean girl.
It's only in accepting her vain desires that she can overcome them, and the same is true for all of us. So think of the person that you dislike the most.
Accepting her vain desires? Was that the morality of Mean Girls? The moral of the story was, hey, don't be a bitch. Not accepting that you're a bitch. What the... Jesus Christ.
Or at least are the most easily agitated by, especially if this person is in your family. Now, I know this might sound crazy, but chances are the exact trait that you dislike in that person is one that you have in spades, and it's...
Drake, really. The video just says here why JP is a good debater. It doesn't mean it needs to be tackled in any of his bad points. When in this video has it brought up JP debating? Does Jordan Peterson even do debates? I guess he's done some, but... No, this is nothing about being a debater. Are you watching this?
It's usually without realizing it. So solution here is not to deny those attributes in yourself, or else you wind up acting on them without even realizing it. The solution is to integrate your shadow, to let your shadow make you even stronger. That's how you tap into assertive power, and you can see it in Jordan's face.
I have so many thoughts we'll need to get into when this is over. I kind of want to wait for the video to end to get like a conclusion thesis on this, but this is something special.
Is when he becomes severe with the people that he's talking to. Now, he's often kind, but when he feels that someone has crossed the line, he is able to tap into a restrained but serious communicative power.
The market sets the damn game. It's like...
And the market is dominated by men.
No, it's
Well,
not. It's not. The market is dominated by women. They make 80% of the consumer decisions. That's not the case at all.
And because of this
Jesus Christ, dude.
He doesn't stay angry or resentful. It can pass when the moment does. Now, Jordan speaks about the shadow often.
I know lots of people complain when I do stuff like that. It's just when somebody says something outrageously false like that, then yeah, I don't know how else to address it. Yeah, everybody's like, well, why don't you why don't you just roll your eyes at? Because it's fucking stupid what he just said. Men control most of the money in the world, so arguing that women control like 80% of the market because they fucking buy stuff is one of the dumbest fucking arguments I've ever heard in my life.
In terms of its capacity to do harm. But I think it's also important to include all the things in yourself that you just prefer not to identify as being part of you. This means your fear, your guilt, your sexuality, and sometimes even your joy. I spoke about the idea of the repressed inner child in another video. I'm going to link to that in the description. But for now, just know that part of self-love means integrating and accepting all aspects of yourself. So we have first, fixing yourself before you go out and try to fix the world. Second, telling the truth instead of lying to avoid reality. And third, integrating your shadow so that it doesn't run the show without you knowing. Now, this isn't everything that it takes to live an exceptional life, but it forms a strong foundation. And the more you practice these 3 points, the more you become an honest, integrated individual, which is exactly what the world needs you to be.
It's the answer to the problem of humanity is the integrity of the individual. That's the answer.
So now some concrete advice on how to implement these 3 tips. And I'm going to keep it very simple. There's of course more you can do, but just one thing that you can do today that has elements of all 3 of these points. It's this. Pick something that you have been afraid to do. A conversation that you should have had, but backed out of. A confrontation that you've been avoiding. Telling someone who's been treating you badly that they need to stop, or telling someone how you feel, and do that thing. Live the consequences of telling and acting out the truth. Now, do it with some tact that you've hopefully learned from our videos, but the best advice that I can give you is to do the thing that popped into your mind maybe as you were watching this video. Get it done today and let us know how it went tomorrow on the Facebook live stream 11 a.m. if you're interested. If you're looking for more on how to live a good life, I have a recommendation courtesy of...
Oh, we got an ad, don't worry. Let's see, is there anything else to the video? What is this? Is this actual...
exclusive at audible.com.
No. Okay, so there's a little bit left, okay.
Also, I've seen that Jordan Peterson is actually going to be speaking / debating Sam Harris in the next few weeks.
Jesus.
And I'm guessing that there's going to be some good breakdown material there. So if you want to make sure that you...
So this is actually, like, I just thought I'd be interested to go into one of these, but this is actually far more insidious than I thought. Oh, shit, I did not mean to hit that. But anyways, so that video was super insidious, because here's the weird thing about that video. There's some decent advice in there, but it's mixed up with Jordan Peterson ideas, and it is fucking messed up. Yeah, because all he's doing is he's got some interesting ideas. He's touching on the trans stuff, which is kind of shitty. But he's like, oh yeah, here's Jordan Peterson. Isn't he a cool guy? That's kind of what that video is about, and it's not really getting into. It's hinting at his badder aspects, but not really getting into it. Just saying, hey, isn't he a cool guy? So that next time, if somebody's impressionable, like somebody after a divorce watches that shit, they might see another Jordan Peterson thing and see him fucking crying over trans people using a fucking bathroom, and then be like, oh god, this Jordan Peterson guy, he's got his head together. If he's crying over that, it must be a big deal. We have to fight up against these transes. This is a very insidious gateway video. This is disturbing. Because like I said, there's decent advice sprinkled throughout this whole thing. In fact, I would say possibly most of that video was actually decent advice. But it's under this veil of Jordan Peterson dog shit. Wow. Like, it's like this guy might actually be able to do decent self-help stuff, but like he's coding it under this shit. This is so fucked up. Yeah, Lucifer. Yeah, the videos seem to honestly just be Peterson to grift itself. I need a thing to launch off my audience. It's already yeah, it might be just that, but it's selling Peterson to an impressionable crowd. Because if you're going to looking up self-help stuff or pickup artistry, you're impressionable at that moment. You're looking to be taught, and by exposing somebody to like decent ideas and also Jordan Peterson in that state, you're impressing upon them that Jordan Peterson is someone to be listened to, and that is disturbing. God damn, that was way more insidious than I thought it would be. That is, whew. Oh wow, that was just so much more insidious than I thought it would be. I'll be blunt. I think all the other videos on that channel are going to be very similar. But yeah, let's see. Oh, do you guys want to check out the Donald Trump one before I leave it? I can do one more, because, yeah, I did say we were going to do some charisma on command. I just wasn't expecting that. That was... Okay, let's look up the Donald Trump one.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.